Welcome back to the channel, and today we have an exciting review lined up. We'll be taking a close look at the brand new Leatherman Arc multi-tool. If you are on the hunt for a versatile, reliable EDC tool, this might be the one for you. So let's dive right in, explore the features and benefits of the Leatherman Arc multi-tool. The Leatherman Arc is fairly compact for its size, and the weight on it is not all that bad. Without the sheath, it's coming in at 8.67 ounces, and with the sheath, along with the bits that come with it, it comes in at 11.98 ounces. For the most part, I've been enjoying carrying it with the pocket clip. Every once in a while, I'll clip this to my belt if I think I'm going to need the extra bits. And I must say, when I was carrying it, I hardly noticed it was there until I needed it. One main reason why I've been trying to have a multi-tool on me at all times is because it allows you to be prepared for a lot more situations that could arise throughout your day, whether you're driving somewhere or just doing work around the house or at one of your kids' houses, family members, or on the job site. Leatherman has been known for their exceptional build quality, and the Arc multi-tool is no exception in my opinion. This one is built on the free platform. Where does it say it? Somewhere. Yeah, built with free technology. That is the magnetic system, like on the Leatherman Free P4. And that was one of the allures that drew me to this multi-tool, because I can one hand deploy it, and after my accident, my dexterity's not what it used to be, and it's not always easy for me to open some of these multi-tools that require two-hand opening. And if my left hand is being used, or I can't get to my left hand for some reason because it's holding something, I can do what I need to do, open it with the right hand, no problem. And it is very, very smooth because of the way these jaw systems are set up. One thing that I love seeing is, as you can see right here, the pliers were made in the USA. As you can see on my Leatherman Charge TTI, these are not made in the US. Besides the pliers being made in the US, the blade is also made in the US, and this is probably the star of the show when it comes to the Leatherman Arc. And this blade is made in CPM Magnacut steel, an outstanding steel that is highly corrosion resistant. Kind of don't really understand why they coated this one, but I don't think it looks bad, and the coating is held up very, very nice. I don't know if that's a DLC or not. Love the thumb stud on this. It makes it very easy to deploy. Sometimes I can flick it out like that. Mine came very, very sharp. I love the fact that they put you a sharpening tool right there, so I can sharpen all the way to the back once I need to. And I love the fact that you have a locking mechanism. You just push this over and it's all easily done one-handed. Very smooth action. Now you do have a little bit of side-to-side flex, or maybe side-to-side play, just because of the free technology. I don't really know how that works inside, but I didn't have any issues with it disengaging on me or anything. Felt pretty nice and tight. Now, after watching several people's videos, I saw that people were having failure with their cutters on the jaws. So we're going to do some testing with that and the Magnacut blade, along with the saw and a few other tools, and see how this performs compared to my Leatherman Charge TTI, which was my go-to Leatherman until I got this one. I decided to test the things I use most often, and probably the most I would use is the pliers and this blade. So I decided to start with some cardboard. The knife came very, very sharp. I was pretty impressed. Then we went to some sisal rope. Did great with the sisal rope because of this blade shape. You have just the right amount of belly on this drop point blade. It performed outstanding, and was passing through the rope very nice as well. We then moved on to trying to see how well the blade would pop some paracord. We went through some leather, some different thicknesses of hose, of dense rubber hose, and I thought it did really, really well with that as well. And it was fairly comfortable. I was in like a pinch grip with the frame of the knife, with the frame of the multi-tool. Thought it did rather well. Then I went to the file on the knife. I love this file. You have a diamond coating on one side, and as you see, a cross cut on this side, and you can cut some metal on this side. I just put a bevel with the cross cut side on some aluminum, and it did rather well. Is this what I would want to use with a big project, no, but if you had to knock off a burr or something, definitely can get the job done. And then after that, something that I do quite often is pry with my flatheads. And this one's got some decent thickness to it. It feels pretty sturdy. So I decided to put some staples in a 2x4 and see how well it could pry it up. Thought it performed through that fairly well. Then I moved on to the awl. And I got to say, a lot of times I get awls and they're not sharp right here. This one penetrated through some decent thickness natural veg tan leather. Then once I popped a hole through that, I brought some pretty thick bridle leather with this and it punctured it nicely. I thought it was time to test these replacement cutters. So we started with some 14 gauge speaker wire. And of course, it had absolutely no issues with that. And I tried to, cut in different sections here. And I even tried to cut in the little gap right there. Then from the 14 gauge wire, we moved to some 16 gauge galvanized steel wire. And it had no problems with that as well. We moved to the infamous coat hangers because that's what a lot of people were breaking on, coat hangers. And I've cut coat hangers and other wire much stronger than a coat hanger with my Leatherman Charge TTI, and it did outstanding. Now, as long as I stayed out of that little gap, it cut it nice and cleanly, no problem. I did try to cut one in that gap, and it required a good bit of pressure to get through it. But we cut several different pieces of that coat hanger, and I thought it performed nicely, and so far mine have not had a catastrophic failure to them. Here's a close-up look at them. I mean, all you really have is where some of the steel or coat hanger kind of rubbed off. From what I can see, I don't have any crazy breaks or anything, but I will continue to test them and keep y'all posted. Then I decided to test out the saw because that's another thing that I use quite often, especially whenever I need to trim down a little branch. The one that I'm showing here was about 1.5 inches in diameter. And I like the saw. I'm pretty sure, it looks like it's a bi-directional saw. And it's nice and aggressive. Once you get it started, it was fairly easy. This is not going to replace, say, my Silky saw or my Corona saw. But if you had to, cut up some small kindling, you could with this. And I know it's sped up in the video, but it took me 4 minutes to get through it completely. Now, I also use this Victorinox on the Spirit X, and this thing is just wicked, man. It bites so well and went through rather quickly. So they're pretty comparative. I just found this one works a little bit better, and this one's a little bit more comfortable while doing so. Then I moved on to the scissors. Now, I do have to say that for one-hand deployment, it's kind of hard for me to open my scissors because this is very slick or smooth. One-hand deployment, it can be done, but I got to make sure I'm pushing down hard enough. And my scissors didn't come super sharp, and they're not super comfortable. This little spot, you can't get a bunch of leverage. Now, they are a small pair of scissors, and this is something you only can use in a pinch. But I tried to cut some paracord. I was able to get through it for the most part. I had to cut it like right there. I couldn't get it right at the tip, and when I got back here, it would just fold over. Overall, I thought all the tools did fairly well. The blade performed probably the best out of all of them, and I like this blade better than both of my Victorinox and my Leatherman Charge TTI. So excellent job here. I think a lot of it has to do with the thumb studs. Makes it a lot easier for me to deploy, and this one just came with a beautiful edge on it, and so far it feels like it's holding it fairly well. It's still got some nice bite to it. One thing I noticed while using some of these tools on the outside, some of the main tools, are the harder edges they have on the stainless frame were pretty uncomfortable in certain situations depending on how I was using the tool. In that regard, the Leatherman Charge TTI is a lot more comfortable because they have a rounding on all these titanium scales right here that feel nice in the hand. But the only time I was really uncomfortable was whenever I was doing hard pushing with it. It comes with the flat bit set. These bits are pretty terrible. I have some on my Charge TTI, and they're all jacked up. They're soft. So I didn't do a whole lot of testing with those because I already know how they perform. But how do I see this multi-tool as a whole? It depends on what you're looking for. For me, it's a big deal to have the one-handed deployment. Now, that said, I could have went with the Leatherman Free P4 a good bit cheaper. This one right here is going to run you $230. And all that pretty much has to do with the Magnacut blade. So at $230, do I think it's overpriced? Not really. If you look at some folding knives with Magnacut, you know, being that it's such a new steel and it's hard to machine, I actually don't think it's all that bad. Because I have some knives in Magnacut that don't have any of the extra tools, and they're way more expensive than this multi-tool. So what it boils down to for me, if the Magnacut blade, if you're already going to be carrying a knife like I do every day, sometimes two knives, depending on if I'm reviewing something or not, or carrying something for a review, then you may not need or want the Magnacut blade. In that case, you could probably go with, if you wanted the free technology, you could go with the Leatherman Free P4. Just depends on this one, the blade. That's why this one was so expensive. You had titanium overlay scales, and this one has the S30V blade on it. Terrible grind on this one, and it came pretty dull. If you're not buying a multi-tool to replace a folding knife, say on the job site or whatever, then, you know, you may not see the value in a $230 multi-tool because of the Magnacut blade steel. I love the overall aesthetics. I love how easy it is to manipulate all the tools on the outside for me besides the scissor, but I can two-hand the scissor. I don't use the scissor all that much on this one. I love the free technology to one-hand deploy the multi-tool, and I can close it one-handed as well. That's a big deal for me. I love that it came with a pocket clip. I usually carry it with a pocket clip. Sometimes I'll throw it, you know, depending on if I have pants on or not, I'll throw this in it if I need the bits. Usually if I need the bits is whenever I am carrying it in the nylon sheath. All the tools held up pretty nice. Now I did also notice that this one has quite a bit of flex. Not something that really bothers me, unless, you know, if it becomes a problem, I will definitely let y'all know. I also get a little bit of flex when I'm squeezing the jaws. I can flex it a little bit. Not the case with my Leatherman Charge TTI. I have absolutely no play on this one. I'm guessing it has something to do with the free technology on this one. This one is rock. I cannot muster any side to side, maybe a hair. Then you have the cutters. Now, one good thing, I'm sure that if you have a catastrophic failure and your cutters break after one cut, or just break, you know, without anything crazy, I'm sure Leatherman would replace them for free. So I've been enjoying it. At first, I thought it was going to be a impulse buy, and I was kind of regretting that I spent this kind of money because I did not think it would replace any of my current multi-tools. But so far, I've been really enjoying it. I'm showing some of the other implements. Can opener, they all lock. You also have the bit holder, double-sided bit holder. And something I hardly ever use is the eyeglass mini screwdriver, flathead, and Phillips. I mean, or if you have like maybe a model car or something, that might be handy. Thank you for joining us today. If you have found this review helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below. And until next time, I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace!